Former Foreign Minister Han Sung Joo, thanks very much for joining us. We're at a point now where diplomacy with North Korea to try to stop or roll back its nuclear program is at a complete standstill. What do you see as the key challenges for South Korea and the U.S. in managing their dealings with North Korea?
Well, I think it's a good way to put it. We have to place emphasis on managing it rather than resolving the issue in a full sweep, because like there are some issues that cannot be resolved anytime soon, and the North Korean nuclear issue is one of them. And the North Koreans are trying to state emphatically that as far as they're concerned, the case of denuclearizing North Korea has been closed. And so we have to deal with it on that basis, stop expanding their program, and trying to deal with what they have.
The idea that North Korea would actually ever get rid of its nuclear program now seems completely unrealistic. And, against this backdrop, is a freeze or a limited rollback the best that can be hoped? And what are the political challenges of trying to sell that kind of approach if it appears that in doing so, the U.S. or South Korea are essentially acknowledging or legitimizing the fact that North Korea is and will continue to be a nuclear power?
Well, first of all, we should not give up the aim of denuclearizing North Korea, and at the same time, we should continue to place emphasis on diplomatic efforts, particularly through China, and also in dealing with North Korea, we have to be mindful of their own internal situation. We have to make a judicious mix of what we would call carrots and sticks, and that also requires good coordination and cooperation among the other powers. That is, South Korea working very closely with the United States, but also with Japan, and coordinating with China and Russia as well. I think that's basically what we have been doing. We meaning the other countries, the five countries except North Korea of the six-party talks. And the problem is that there is a great deal of fatigue among all these countries and peoples, and at the same time there is a diminishing concern about North Korean nuclear weapons.
When the six-party talks were underway and seemed to be making some headway, there was a lot of talk that they could, in addition to addressing the North Korean nuclear issue, become the nucleus for, or framework for some kind of broader security architecture in Northeast Asia, which is a region where there isn't any substantial security architecture. With the six-party talks dormant and no sign they're going to revive anytime soon, what are the implications for the region of not having any substantial way to move forward to develop a regional security architecture?
One of the major usefulnesses of the six-party talks was to serve as an umbrella for other sets of meetings, bilateral meetings, threesomes, and sometimes even foursomes. And so even in the absence of six-party talks, such meetings can take place. Most importantly, I think, as it is difficult to involve North Korea to six-party talks, I think the remaining parties, the five countries, can have discussions of their own China has been resisting that because it is very offensive to North Korea. But at the moment, I think China can see usefulness of that kind of a format. One reason why China doesn't want to do it is at the moment, nobody can make that kind of a decision while they're going through a transition of their own. But I would not be surprised come next year, China may decide that in the absence of six-party talks, China might engage in five-party talks, which can serve as a tremendous pressure on North Korea to come along.
Let me switch for a minute and ask you about some broader regional issues. In particular, the role of China. So what's your read on the Chinese approach to the North Koreans?
I think China does not like North Korea to be provoking, threatening, or going nuclear because it can be a threat to China as well. And North Korea being very aggressive, it also brings the U.S. military might to the area, including to the Yellow Sea. And so clearly they would like to see North Korea restrained. On the other hand, they don't want North Korea to collapse on the footsteps of China. And so they have to make a balance of some kind that way. China certainly doesn't want any kind of military conflict on the Korean Peninsula either. So China has been supportive of North Korea, sometimes joined the United Nations or international move to sanction North Korea, but continue to give aid to North Korea. But maybe in the recent weeks and months, there has been some rethinking on the part of China. And I think China did make an all-out effort to have North Korea restrain themselves regarding the third nuclear test, regarding military provocations vis-a-vis South Korea. And so that I think has made some result.
Is there anything you think the U.S. or South Korea can actually do, apart from just talking more to the Chinese, to convince Beijing to take an approach towards North Korea that would better suit what Washington and Seoul want to see?
If we go back to the 1990s, there are things that the United States, together with South Korea, did that would influence the behavior of North Korea. Probably not in exactly the same way it will happen this time. For example, at that time, the deployment of the U.S. aircraft carrier to the eastern sea near the Korean Peninsula was very effective in persuading North Korea to come back to the conference table. So again, it will have to be a combination of diplomatic efforts. It will have to be sometimes a show of resolve, and there will have to be a coordination among the two countries together with the others as well.
I want to ask you about the so-called U.S. pivot towards Asia and its potential implications for the Korean Peninsula, especially in relation to China. The Obama administration has said that one of the central elements of the pivot is to reinforce and strengthen American security alliances in the region, especially with South Korea.
The pivot, so to speak, has been in reaction to, at least in the northeastern area, two aspects, and that is the rise of China and at the same time the increasing threat behavior of North Korea. And so from the Chinese point of view, in part, the way that North Korea, the United States has been augmenting its military capabilities and strengthening its commitment to this area has been the result of North Korea's own actions. So I think they do recognize that it is very important for them to restrain North Korea, while at the same time they don't particularly like what the United States is doing. But I don't think that China is going to do something that that it was not going to do anyway because of the pivot to Asia policy. From South Korean point of view, I think it's an opportunity, and it is a desirable thing that the United States is paying more attention to the area. That pivot to Asia, at least from the Northeast Asian point of view, is concerned, has two aspects. One is that the United States is rebalancing its attention and effort toward Asia. And within Northeast Asia, the United States is playing much more emphasis on alliance with South Korea relative to alliance with other countries, including Japan. The implications is that the United States sees a great deal more strategic value in maintaining and strengthening the alliance. And fortunately, at this point, there is rather positive response, not only the government of South Korea, but the general public of South Korea as well.